Right, hello and
Here we go. There's your first clip. Bosh.
hello and welcome to another episode of Tailed Off, episode number 20. As a result, we've made it to the top 1% of podcasts, can you believe it? So thank you for all the listens and all the watches. As a reminder, this is a no-holds-barred podcast that dives headfirst into the wonderfully weird world of horse racing. We'll be covering Ascot so far. So for those that watched our bonus episode last week, we did a good detailed preview of Ascot that's going on this week. And then we'll obviously do a preview of the remaining races for the next couple of days.
Position, and he powered the last race down, and he powered Scotland in front of the last left, Melody Light by the first time, they're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post, completely, Roger Lockwood, and Hoyt to Archibald, and he is defends his title, and Archibald is flattened out in second, then in third, and White is beginning to come, he's drifting off a true line, Racing's fire, and this was coming home, Shine doesn't go, and when his fourth Betfair chase, and Cordo Star is still the king, Cordo Star wins.
How we doing, boys? We good?
All good. Dying in the heat, but otherwise not too bad.
Dying in the heat, yeah. So for those not in the UK, it's very hot here. This is our summer. A week left of it.
Sales have gone through the roof.
Didn't know we had international listeners.
Oh yeah. Well,
but you're very
Ireland,
welcome wherever you are.
Is Jersey international? I don't know.
And obviously from last week, we now do a weather segment. So Duncan, what's on the weather forecast for the next few days?
It's sweaty as balls the next few days is what it is. Well, that is it.
Balls are smouldering.
Balls are smouldering. Get your talc ready, lads, is all I will say.
Right. So, Ascot, how are we doing so far? We've had some ups and downs.
We have. Nice to start the whole thing off with the 25-1 winner there, wasn't it? So that was the high.
That will do.
Yeah, we'll take it all day. I think it was quite nice to watch that though. When you've got the front two pulling away, and I was like, I would have obviously preferred the 25-1 winner, which we obviously got. But I was like, I've got both of these. Elle's got, Rosalian, and it was just pipped on the line, unfortunately. Great start to the week.
Start for each way. And as a reminder, then, what race was that, and what horse was it? For those that didn't see,
so it was Docklands in the Queen Anne. So yeah, it was. Was it the Queen Anne? Or am I telling lies?
Yeah, first race of the.
So.
It was the Queen Anne. I know, it's just pulled up. But yeah, Queen Anne, Docklands 25-1. Thank you very much. So,
lovely stuff.
Very pleased with that. That was nice.
How's it going for you, El, so far? I'm sure you've got some sneaky ones as well that you haven't told us about.
I did have a premium service tip win yesterday.
Yeah, as a reminder, premium service is coming out very soon. Which is all of El's tips, which we don't even see.
Yeah, I had the 25-1 winner of the. God, remind me what that race was. The Crimson Avenue one. All the race names sound the same to me at this point.
I know.
Queen King Royal Stakes something or other. But yeah, no, it's been. I think we've definitely tipped at least one winner every day. Which isn't bad returns.
That's
and we've had
going.
a host of places, some good double-figure places in there as well. So,
it felt like a bit of a crossbar day yesterday as well.
Yeah,
I had the 8-1 winner that saved the day in the last with I think it was Havana Hurricane. Which was a nice little win, and there was a couple of places. I think we had the 25-1 place. So shout out to Lee Thurston, who's part of our Horses for Courses group chat, and he flagged up one called Further at 25-1, which we put up, and it came in second, very close second. So that was a nice bit of each way value there. So yeah, that, and then today
nice.
We had Merchant in the second race at 3-1, so that was a nice little winner as well, and an 18-1 place in the first. Godolphin.
You could look a bit happy about it, mate.
I know. He's melting.
I know. I was going to say I'm too warm. Balls are smouldering.
If I tipped a 25-1 winner of a Group 1 race, you wouldn't hear the bloody end of it.
I know. You got to milk that for days.
Looking for the next one now.
It's just what he does. Yeah. It's just what he does. We had a little comment from last week we were talking about some of the interesting horse names that we couldn't pronounce, or that you did correctly pronounce and then corrected me. There's been a little comment from Jimmy saying the best name for a horse is Windy Wings. Yeah. So I was just thinking maybe we get a little segment going on best names for horses.
Wizard Sleeve. There we go.
Wizard Sleeve.
Straight away. That's your number one.
Absolutely.
Wizard Sleeve. There's some questionable ones out there for sure. We should have a look at that for sure.
Yeah, there's
We've
some
got
ones
all the winners
where...
picked out now though for the next 2 days.
Yeah, all right, let's get on to the next couple of days then, shall we? So we've got, day is Wednesday today. No, it's Thursday today. I don't know what day it is. Thursday today, so we've got 2 more days left Friday, Saturday. Let's start with Friday then. So we've got the Commonwealth Cup. This is Class 1, obviously, but 3-year-old, getting no geldings. Elle, what are you going to go for? So you've got the balls. They're full cherries.
Yeah, full cherries.
They got cherries.
Yeah, so this is a fairly new race, probably one of the newest group races at the meeting over the last decade. It was quite a good invention, in my opinion, because a lot of the 3-year-olds are being aimed at mile races like the Guineas and then the St James's Palace, which we saw on Tuesday, or the stayers over kind of 10 furlongs and a mile and a half like the Derby, for example. So this race is actually for those that haven't quite seen out the trip in the Guineas over a mile, drop back to the 6 furlongs and they get their own category of sprint race, which is quite an interesting race. And there are a couple in here with that sort of profile. So Shadow of Light and John Quill, who are stepping back from their respective Guineas that they raced in, and they're obviously stepping back now to the 6 furlongs. I was very close to tipping Shadow of Light, and he ran a brilliant race in the Guineas. But I've got a marginal preference for John Quill, as he ran in the French Guineas, and that form is working out pretty well. Henri Matisse was pretty, he didn't obviously get anywhere near Field of Gold on Tuesday, but he ran a solid race, which kind of, for me, he won the French Guineas and that held up the form. And then the third came out of that French Guineas and won the French Derby. So it came down to a price thing for me at 13-2. I thought John Quill each way was a good value bet against the favourite. So got 2 in the race, but that is my main selection, John Quill.
Lovely. So they're in 7-1 at the moment.
Good. It's even bigger than 13-2.
Yeah, so that's good. Okay, good. Good start. What are you then saying, Duncan, on the same race?
Yeah, I was kind of very much with Elle and between the two of those, but I've actually gone for the favourite with Shadow of Light. I think it's clear on ratings. Got outstayed, as we kind of mentioned just now, in the 2000 Guineas, but ran an unbelievable race. I think it pretty much took him all the way up to half a furlong out before it was taken off for third. He steps back to the 6 furlongs, which is absolutely fine. I imagine there'll be a strong pace in this, so I don't see it being a problem. The only question mark I had on him was the ground. Bless you, mate.
Thank you.
He's never run on before, but I'd hope he would handle it based on the Dam Sire, which is a new approach, who's won on good firm ground. So if he can handle that, I think he's in with a good chance. And it's proven this week that the highest stalls always seem to come to fruition in these sprint races. And he's drawn in 19, so it's one of the highest stalls. So I'm hoping that may help him in some way. So I will take a chance on Shadow of Light at 2-1. But I'll let Elle follow up with his next one, because I've also backed it as well based on his fine explanations. Yes.
Another Andrew Boulding horse. Who have you got?
I didn't expect you to say that. Doing your research.
Hey,
he's just pretending like he knows what he's talking about.
I got to learn. I got to learn something on this.
Drop in of that Andrew Boulding. Like, where's that come from?
Do you know?
I'll keep you on the toe.
And he's actually surprised us after 20 podcasts. He's managed to surprise us. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, okay. Surprised in a good way, I hope.
Yeah. Oh, massively. Yeah. I need choked on with water. That's how surprised I was.
All right, we digress.
Duncan did just raise a good point there for anyone that has been watching the Ascot races this week. Something that I did call earlier on, that the straight course obviously is a big wide expanse, and when you get some of the big handicaps, they're 30 odd runners, which is the whole sort of breadth of the straight track. And I've always felt maybe in the first day you can get away with being drawn low, which means you're on the far side, so furthest away from the grandstand. But then as they get to about halfway, they intercept the round course as it comes back into the straight. So that's the ground that's been raced on the most throughout the week. So the more the week goes on, you just see such a massive draw bias for the high numbers. And we saw it in the last race today in the Buckingham Palace, the Fab Field of Gold. Sorry, no, it's not Field of Gold. Something Brave.
Yeah.
Never So Brave.
Yeah.
He just bagged the rail, and it was like he was on completely different ground, and they were all on tarmac on the other side.
It's a rocket.
Oh, wow.
So if you are looking at, particularly, it's less probably in some of the classier races like the Group 1s with smaller fields, but certainly the big handicaps, I would just back the mid to high draws, definitely. It just seems to be an absolute sort of cheat code on that stand side. But anyway, the other one that I do like in this race, trying to emulate Duncan with his big price winner of a Group 1, is Leovani, each way at 33-1. Which is weirdly similar vein to that Crimson Advocate that I had a winner of earlier in the week, same owners as well, because he's previously won a 2-year-old race at Royal Ascot last season. He won the Norfolk Stakes, so again you've got the course form there. Now obviously that's over 5 furlongs and this is over 6, but he didn't quite go on from that last season, but he ran in a one of the best Group 1 2-year-old races, the Jubilee Park Stakes at Newmarket on his last start last season. And the ground had just gone against him, so I wouldn't worry about that. And then they've obviously kept him for this season, and he had a prep run at Haydock where, I mean, it just looked like an absolute prep run, where he wasn't really being asked to do too much. It was a perfect time between that race and Ascot on Friday, and he got absolutely, even though it was a small field, he got absolutely butchered on the rail. So the jockey James Dorr was quite easy on him, but he still absolutely motored home under hands and heels. And looking at his pedigree, I don't see any real issue with him going to 6 furlongs. I just thought 33-1 for a proven Royal Ascot performer. He'll do for me as an each-way sneak in the Commonwealth Cup.
Not to pull you out on that, Al, but it's actually a filly.
Is it?
Not him. Yeah.
Pardon me. I usually pull people up on that sort of thing.
Sorry, who's the expert on this pod? Me and Duncan?
Did he know that, or has he just looked at it? That's what I'm.
No, I've just looked at it because you said him, and I looked at it and I thought it's a filly.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It says no geldings, and as far as I'm concerned, she doesn't have any bollocks, so she's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a bit of a cheat code. Yeah,
I think it's now been clipped a little bit after my money, Duncan's money, and Porrick Rooney's money. It's 28-1, I think, the latest price.
28-1 is it? You think? Okay,
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look.
Still massive price
now. I think you can still get 33s on
33s.
power bet there.
Yeah.
Okay, still we'll claim 33s then if it wins.
Yeah, 100%.
For the record. All right, let's get on to the next one then. So, Coronation Stakes. This is a mile long. Duncan, we'll start with you, shall we? What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I mean, again, Elle will probably have my preferred.
Chinese Duncan then.
Sorry. No, he's visualising the win.
All right, it's for our Asian viewers. I don't care that I've said that either.
Must be the heat. What's going on?
Yeah, it is just too warm.
Yeah, a bit too.
Anyway, moving on from my racism. I mean, I think Elle's probably picked the main fancy from the two of us, but I'm not going to. I'll leave Elle to talk about it. And the one I did call out was Chantilly Lace. Now, I take what could happen with this with the pinch of salt. It was a bit of an unknown, but I'm going to chance it. It was a close-up fifth. It's only run twice, and once last year on heavy ground, which Julie won. Rafe Beckett, the trainer, obviously thinks a lot of the horse because this season came in to start with the season with 1,000 guineas and finished fifth on decent ground, only 2.5 lengths back. It only seemed to kind of tire out in the last furlong, so I'd expect her to come on from the run. Form hasn't worked out brilliantly based on the 1,000 guineas form, so it is a bit of a hit and hope. At 11-1, I'm kind of willing to give it a chance that she could probably step up and actually be pretty smart, but it's a very loosey-goosey type of kind of...
Yeah, I was going to say, there's not a lot of stats on that one, is there? But yeah, like you
no,
say.
it's really hard, and you're kind of taking it on a women of prayer, like I say, so we'll see. But there is another fancy, but I'll let Elle talk about that, which I've backed as well.
Go on then, now. Who have you got?
I was just getting a little bit on Chantilly Lace because I did mean to bet on that, so I will give support for that one as well. But as Duncan says, you're kind of taking a bit of a flyer.
It could be a win only, I think. It's either going to be a no hope
shit or bust.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is the motto of our pod, isn't it? Shit or bust.
Yeah, I think it is.
It is now.
Hashtagging that now, shit or bust.
Shit or bust.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep this fairly simple in that who do you want to be following at the minute? It's Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. I mean, they are just smashing up. They probably haven't had their best week they've ever had because they have set some crazy records down the years, but they're just absolutely smashing it. So they had another, at least a couple of winners on the Thursday. Yeah. And I just like Aidan's in this January. Hopefully it'll be January and June on the Friday of Ascot. I do like the Fav. I do respect the Fav. As I was saying, that Duncan, was saying that the form has been let down a little bit. And I did like the second Fav, for this is a pronunciation, Falakea, who actually raced against a horse that Duncan and I backed today that probably didn't do so well. And she was meant to run in the French Oaks, but then scoped dirty, and that was only at the weekend. So
scoped dirty. What does that mean?
Yes, that is where I've talked about this when I went to visit Call Out. I watched the horse get scoped. Where it's called an endoscope.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, there's an infection there.
Well, up the nose basically, and then they get a real kind of sample of the lungs and see what kind of mucus and stuff is in there. So if a horse has had anything like that going on so close to a big race, that would put me off straight away. So I was quite keen to take that one on, and I just thought, who is going to probably just run in a decent race and is reliable. And I just thought January last season as a 2-year-old, she kept knocking heads with Desert Flower, who obviously won the Guineas, and that form's rock solid. Then she's only had one run this season, and that was in the French Guineas, and I reckon she would have needed that race because so many of Aidan's, we've seen it this season, we see it every year. Maybe they've come out later than planned, and yet they then can bomb and then absolutely bounce back with a vengeance in their next race, which is probably their intended race. When I did write this, she was 15-2. I think the best price now is 13-2. I think everyone's just piling onto the Aiden factor. So whenever you listen to this, take whatever price you can, because I expect a big run from her tomorrow.
Full cherries. And I think he's had 6 wins this week already.
Yeah, says it all, doesn't it?
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Nearly his
he is the Willie Mullins of Cheltenham. Aiden O'Brien.
Yeah, fair.
It's just like clockwork.
Yeah.
Could be a century at Ascot.
Let's get on to the next one then. Let's go to King Edward Stakes. So this is Group 2, 3-year-old. Elle, you've got a few pointers on this one.
Yes, I just realised I didn't finish my notes on this one. We'll work with it.
We're live.
I'm guessing, Duncan, you didn't put one in because you want the same as me. Is that right?
Yeah, I just didn't see the point in writing up the same again.
Yeah, save you some
Copy
work.
and paste.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a race so this is kind of, the Ascot seems to have an equivalent of all the main races, whether it be the 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, or the older horses. And I always call this the Ascot Derby, which no one else in their right mind would call it. But it just helps me understand what the race is.
Get out of Anorak Corner.
There's only so many royals that I can remember, and the King Edward VII isn't in my brain, for any good reasons. It's basically a 3-year-old only race over the Derby trip of 1.5 miles. It just helps me kind of think, right, what am I actually looking at? And I actually thought this was quite a weak renewal. Probably some of the better horses from like the Derby, etc., haven't come here. And I was desperately trying to take on the favourite, to be honest, who is Amelot for Rafe Beckett. And when you try that hard, you sometimes just have to hold your hands up and say, am I missing the blinding obvious here, and tip the fav. So that is what I'm going to do. He is around 2-1 at the minute, which I think is just about on the right side of backable. When I was looking at this yesterday, he was 13-8, and I thought, that's ridiculous. He isn't that good. But the angle with him is really, he is just so unexposed. He's rapidly improving. He's won all of his 4 starts. And I actually watched his race back at Goodwood in the Cocked Hat Stakes, which is a mental name for a race.
Nice.
Is one of the Dad calls it the Predominant Stakes, but it's not been called that for about 30 years.
Shame Wizardsley wasn't running in that as well. That would have made it very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. he basically fell out the gates, was half asleep for the first half of the race, was rousted along, was given a reminder, and he was the favourite for that day. And you would have thought, Christ, done my money here. But then once he suddenly realised, I'm a racehorse, I'm supposed to be racing against these other horses, he just absolutely came alive down the outside, and he just powered clear. And it was like the further they went, the other horses just looked like they were paddling, and he looked like he just started. I was quite impressed with that. I think there's question marks over the second fav, Johnny Murtaugh's horse, Zaran. I think Puppet Master, just the level of form just isn't good enough from that Lingfield race. And then you start to get to some really windy horses, so I was kind of like, that is the most rock solid option. He's improving. You want a horse on the up rather than taking chances on one. So at 2-1, he was the one for me.
All right, nice.
And I have got a sneaky each way if that sort of thing's not your bag.
Go on then.
So the other one I liked, going back to the tried and tested method, not quite.
Despite you saying you're clutching at straws for the rest of the field, we have got an outsider.
Yeah, but there's always one straw you can get your hands on, isn't there? Make half a case for it and convince yourself that probably is the right thing to do. So as I said, I didn't like Aiden's kind of main one in Puppet Master, and so that's kind of good for my one, because anyone that wants to back Aiden or just back that one, and mine will sit nicely at about 28-1, 30-1. So the other one I like is his second string, in sort of supposed term second string, is Galveston, because a lot of the horses when I was looking at didn't seem to be like desperately needing 1.5 miles. They were kind of bred for maybe a bit shorter, but this horse is absolutely bred to stay. And he ran in a handicap on his first start of the season, but that was all the way back in March, and we said before that Aiden's horses need plenty of time in the spring to get rolling, and then he improved sort of significantly on that to win a conditions race over 10 furlongs last time out. So that's 2 furlongs short of the trip on Friday, but he just won it so impressively, and he kind of won it from the front. And I just thought if he was sort of 14-1, I probably wouldn't be going near him, but at 33-1, he's an Aidan O'Brien unexposed middle distance horse. That's a fair price in my book.
It's got shithousery written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah. Especially if he does Ryan as well, just to rub it in.
Do you reckon they'll use him as a pacemaker?
I am worried about that. The only reason why I don't think he will.
Put a knife in there on your really good read up there and just say,
because
they can do it.
I think he tends to do that for the major Group 1 races.
Yeah.
And I think when you're talking about a bunch of 3-year-olds that are kind of much of a muchness, he might just let them. So, like in the Derby, for example, he might have 5 or 6. 1 or 2 will be the pacemakers, basically sacrificial lambs. Go out there, make the run, and go hard. Then you're not meant to win the race. And then he'll have a couple that he will be like, okay, you can actually try and win the race. I think in this scenario, I don't think Puppet Master is such a superstar that he's prepared to sacrifice a horse that also could be a good horse.
Agreed.
That would be my read on it.
Yeah, fair point.
Interesting. Races within races. All right, let's move on to Saturday then. So we've got the Hardwicke Stakes, 305. So this is a mile 4. Duncan, should we start with you? You've got a few little tips. I think you both got the same one.
Yeah, unfortunately I'm being pretty boring with picks today. It is the favourite Rebel Romance, 5-2. Is he still 5-2 before I say it?
Sorry, just bored me to sleep there.
Sorry, boring.
Oh, you're just backing on some favourites, are you?
Basically, back all the favourites. Jobs are good.
That's racing, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly
and
it.
that's racing.
When the fun stops betting, as we say.
And then you've already got the dogs at Newcastle after that.
I've gone with the favourite in Rebel Romance. They're currently 5-2. Very, very high class horse. Has been running completely absolute Harlem Globetrotter we got going on here. Been running in the US, Middle East, Europe, you name it. There you go. You name it, they've been there. It's accumulated over 10 million quid in prize money so far. I think he'll absolutely love the grounds. Won over this trip before. Was third in a Group 1 last year at Ascot in the King George VI. He's now stepping down, obviously, to a Group 2, which is the Hardwicke Stakes. I think he's just better than a Group 2 horse. He's already won at Group 1 level, so he just looks like, by far, looking through the field, again, as El said, you try and look at these races and think, the first thing I think is now, can I get the favourite beaten? And when you're struggling to try and find something in there, then you may as well just go with the favourite if they're a fair enough price. And I think at 5-2 is quite generous around this, considering I really don't see anything in here that's could put it out to him. I looked at Space Legend as a potential for Haggis and James Doyle, but I've kind of gone off that a bit. Just don't think he's at this level. LRZ, I think he's a bit too old and won't like the ground anymore. And Jim Crowley's on board, so shout out to Jim. Great ride the other day. So yeah, for me it's Rebel Romance 5-2.
Lovely. Good stall as well, number 11. So you're happy with that, are you? That's good.
It doesn't really matter in this because it's on the round course.
Okay.
The wider stalls isn't necessarily a good thing on the wider course. If anything, it's harder to kind of get in. You almost want to get an inside trap so that you get some cover potentially, not too much, but you don't have to go the widest point around the course.
Yeah, okay. El, you going the same?
Yeah, not a lot to add. I'm just thinking to myself, I need to get a Ladbrokes account. It's the amount of time Duncan puts a price up, and I'm like, where are you seeing that price? And it's always on bloody Ladbrokes.
How many do you? Hold on. How many do you have? You must have all of them anyway.
Complete the set.
I haven't quite got the Royal Flush, but I have got 365, Hills, Paddy's, Sky Bet, and Betfair. So that's a strong fivefold. And the exchanges.
There's a top tip on the exchanges.
Pays to shop around, unless you use Odds Checker, because then you have to pay to shop around, which I refuse to do.
Yeah, fair.
That's going in Stuart's inquiry next week, actually.
I agree with that immediately.
But yeah, Rebel Romance on the snaff, 5 lengths, job done.
Thank you very much.
That sounds like a big cherries bet to me.
That's 5 cherries there. First 5 cherries.
Might be sending you some money, Duncan, to put on for me. 5-2.
I'm literally putting on the bet on now because it's 5-2. I'm going in again.
Snaffle all the price up. Save some for me.
How much do you want on?
I'll send you 40. It's a live bet.
Yeah,
This
cool.
is
Send it
live.
over, I'll put it on for you.
This is basically the exchange live here. Here we go.
Exactly. We're just talking through our bets now.
Right, let's get on to the 420. Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes, 6 furlongs. That's quite a short one, isn't it? So, Duncan, we'll start with you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week when we did the previews, and I thought it hasn't really changed much from where we had. Inner Sharon, I think, is still where I'd go. It doesn't look to be 5-1 anymore. I think it's 4-1 best price, unless you guys tell me otherwise. The favourite.
Sorry,
the French
correction. I said the time for that was 4:20. It's not 3:40.
That's a good point, though. Why isn't it 4:20?
Because 4:20 is the Jersey Stakes.
I know that. Fucking hell.
Next question.
Every race this week, the feature race, every day this week, the feature race has been 4:20. This is the feature race. The Jersey, I can tell you, is not a bloody feature race.
Okay.
100%.
Sorry, mate.
But yeah, no, in the Sharon, nothing's really changed my thoughts. I mean, the only thing that has actually changed weirdly is the favourite for the race has actually just been bought up by Wafnan, the big hitters from the Middle East. So I think they've come in the last week or so and bought this horse.
Fancied a day out, did they, in Ascot?
They fancied more than a day out. I mean, the amount of money they throw into the horses that have run at Ascot this week is unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, he could well win, but I think Ennis Sharon's the one with the proven form, as we've said, at this kind of group level. So I'm sticking with the anti-post bet on Ennis Sharon at 5-1.
Good. El, you think the same?
Yeah, although I have had another look at the race, because obviously we previewed this what feels like forever ago, and we do have the final field now. Well, first thing I would say is that it's probably one of the better Jubilee Stakes that I can remember for a while, and some nice international competition, including a horse from Japan, of all places. QEII.
I was about to say, that's why I do it.
You're giving me a lot of editing to do.
No, this is all staying in, mate.
QEII.
What's the worst going to happen? In a Sheridan.
I don't know. I got a few ideas.
You really want to ask what's going to happen?
We covered in the Sheridan on the last pod. Yeah, he won the Commonwealth Cup last season over course and distance. I think he's a really solid bet still, even though he's trimmed a little bit now at 4-1. But when I had another look, I thought, can I find something else? And the other one that I like is a French raider called Top Gear.
Nice.
And yeah, nice name. And hopefully he will be in Top Gear on Saturday. He is an interesting one. He was an all right 2-year-old that missed the whole of his 3-year-old year, and then so he's kind of playing catch up, if you like. Then after that, tried to make him into a miler, where he was just coming up short in all the big races in France. Then at the end of last season, they started to gradually step him back in trip, and that seemed to get things clicking for him, because he won a Group 3 in France then quite nicely, and then absolutely hacked up in the Group 2 Challenge Stakes at Newmarket at the end of last season. I always do like when horses that come into England to race in the big races are proving they can travel, because so many that kills their race before they've even started so many of the times. So he's already proven he's been over to England and won, no problem. And he is getting a bit older, so he's a 6-year-old now, but he proves he's still as good as ever when he won easily at Longchamp in May. That was over 7 furlongs, so this is kind of first real main crack at a proper 6 furlong race. But looking at this style of racing, races really prominently, travels really strongly, so I feel like he could be with the one to make the run-in, or certainly be bang up there. And we have said this before, but it is a stiff 6 furlongs at Ascot, because it is that gradual uphill the whole way. Plus they race like crazy from a long way out. So
it's crazy how fast they go. Yeah,
having a bit of extra stamina in the locker is no bad thing. So many horses hit the sort of 100 yards, 200 yard pole and crumple inside the final furlong. So I think Top Gear is available at 15-2. I think that's a nice each way bet in the Jubilee Stakes.
Lovely. All right, thanks guys. That's the Jubilee Stakes. That is the feature race. It's just a bit earlier. Should we get on to the next race then, before we head off for today? The Jersey Stakes. This is a bit longer, 7 furlong. Elliot, start with you. Who have you got?
Yeah, Duncan and I were comparing notes before the pod, and both agreed that the Fav has got a really good chance. I'll let Duncan do that justice at the moment, but I then was just again trying to think, is there anything else against him? And I do think the price is a little bit skinny, if I'm honest, but you're dealing with the Fav with the horses. You kind of know roughly where he is. I wouldn't say he's exposed, because he's still a 3-year-old. There's still time for him to find a bit more improvement, but I'm just taking one that's completely unexposed, so complete opposite end of the scale. The ceiling could be who knows how high, or it could be not very high at all, so you are taking a bit of a fly on that. But I do kind of like those unexposed high potential horses. This horse has just, in 2 starts this season, has just gone from strength to strength. And last time out in a Class 2 at Doncaster, he absolutely destroyed them over the same trip. It's hard to say what he beat. It's hard to say, was he flattered, etc., etc. But when a horse wins that impressively, it does take your eye. Behind the favourite, I don't think there's much in this race at all to worry about. He's 5-1, which, as I say, is probably on the skinny side. But I'm going with. He's what?
He's 92.
Yeah, he's price is going on the time, guys.
I'm not tipping a favourite.
Yeah.
Get in.
Remus is the horse for Owen Burrows, and that's the one I'm going to be on in the Jersey. If I'm not already on, I better get on now.
Yeah, another live bet. Yeah, so it looks like Owen's doing all right from a trainer perspective. He's had a couple of podiums in Ascot this week, so good. Duncan, finish us off then.
Right.
Alright.
I'm going with Comanche Brave. It was joint favourite 5-1 with the one that Els just mentioned, but it's now second favourite, which is nice. I still think 5-1. I mean, he's come in obviously since he's been put in. I think he was 10-1 at the beginning. He's now 5-1. He was second behind Henri Matisse, first time out this season, and that form has been well documented now. Considering Henri Matisse came second to Field of Gold in the St James's Palace Stakes the other day, so it's very, very decent form from that standpoint. He's since then run in Group 1 company against Field of Gold himself in the Irish 2000 Guineas, where he finished a respectable enough fifth. I think we've seen now that Field of Gold is a bit of a freak of a horse. To finish, I think it's about 5 lengths down in fifth is no major thing. So he's been running at really, really top levels here. He's down in grade from that, which I can only think is a good thing. He's a previous good to firm ground winner, so the ground won't be an issue. Ryan Moore aboard. I think 5-1 is still, if you want to go each way, you can. I'm probably just going to play win only because, like El says, I think this remove could also be very interesting. You just don't know where the ceiling is with two runs, 2 wins, very convincing wins. Could be a reverse forecast between the two as well.
Lovely. Stupid question, so you'll probably laugh at it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. AP O'Brien and Donacha Aidan O'Brien.
Donica.
Is that his missus or?
Definitely click that up. Please click that up.
You weren't wrong about us.
You've literally gone from Andrew Balding, which was quality, to that. Great, unbelievable. No, it's
well. What is the?
He's
is
a
what?
geezer. It's full cherries, geezer.
It's his son.
All right. His son.
Yeah.
Right.
Used to be a jockey.
Okay.
So there's two sons of the great Aidan O'Brien training. Donica is one of them.
Donica.
Who's recently transitioned to being a male.
Donna.
Used to be Donna. And Joseph O'Brien, who we speak about quite a lot. He's the other one.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
So
well,
O'Brien's
good,
everywhere.
O'Brien's everywhere. Spreading the seed like a spring.
Genius. I love that.
That's a social sword.
Right. On that note, then let's wrap up. Any final thoughts? Are you all good?
No, I think it's been a good week. Good week so far. Hopefully, we finish off with another few winners. Be nice to see El pick up a double figure winner with Leovarnio or whatever it's called tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Good. Well, thanks, boys. Good to have another preview. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That's a wrap. As always, let us know what you like about this podcast. Drop us your questions. Either email us or social media. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. So we're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. And then we also have our Gmail account, which famously never gets used, tailedoffpod@gmail.com. And we're also on Instagram, TikTok. Well, you might not be able to respond. We've got a 48-hour response time because there's so many emails in there. Please share. And until next time, have fun out there, race hard, race smart, and try not to be tailed off. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Position. Annie Power at the last flies down. Annie Power has gone but in front of the last length. Melody Light the first time. They're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post. He's mistaken the winning post completely. Roger Lockwood and Hoyt Roy. From Archibald, Hardy used to defend his title. From Archibald, who's flattened out in second. Then in front of him, right line is beginning to come. He's drifting off the true line. He's far, and this was to be home. Going to win his 4th Betfair Chase and